I rise today to urge my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to join a strong bipartisan coalition that is taking real action to end senseless, deadly gun violence with truly common sense reforms that have nothing to do with infringing our Second Amendment rights and the Second Amendment rights of our law-abiding citizens. We have seen the Newtown parents here in Washington bravely telling their stories. They deserve better than this body turning their backs on them. The families of Aurora deserve better than this body turning their backs on them. The families of more than 30 people who die every single day at the hands of gun violence deserve more from this body. My friends, it is simply time to act. Today is the day for this body to show the American people that their voices matter. That when 90% of Americans demand us to expand background checks, that we can deliver. We should be able to agree today that we no longer need military-style weapons and ammunition clips on our streets. And we should be able to agree today that it's time to crack down on the illegal handguns being trafficked in our streets into the hands of criminals. 4 years ago, I met the parents of Nyaja Pryor Yard. Nyaja was a beautiful 17-year-old honor student killed in the prime of her life by an illegal handgun when she was just spending time with her friends. I vowed to Nyaja's parents and classmates that I would stop the flow of illegal guns that make their way onto our streets and into the hands of criminals by finally making gun trafficking a federal crime and holding offenders accountable with stiff penalties. We have the opportunity today to give law enforcement the tools and resources they need and have long asked for. This is not a Republican or a Democratic idea. It's just a smart idea. And it's the action that Nyaja's parents deserve from us. According to the New York City's mayor's office, 85% of the guns used in crimes come from out of state. 90% of those guns are illegal. They're illegally trafficked into our city and state. All of the laws we have on the books today, effectively none of them are directly focused on preventing someone from driving from one state to another with stricter gun laws, parking in their car in a parking lot, and selling hundreds of firearms directly into the hands of criminals. It's shocking to me as a mother and as a lawmaker. Instead, prosecutors primarily rely on laws that prohibiting making false statements in connection with the purchase of a firearm. These are paperwork violations with penalties too low to be effective law enforcement tools. Over the past 3 fiscal years, more than 330,000 guns used in violent crimes showed telltale signs of black market trafficking. 420,000 firearms were stolen, and thousands of guns with obliterated serial numbers were recovered by law enforcement. So while law enforcement is working overtime to track down illegal guns and apprehend those who traffic these weapons, current law restricts their ability to investigate and prosecute these crimes. Now, we can all agree this simply makes no sense and leaves all of our communities vulnerable. All across this country, in small towns and big cities, families are saying enough is enough. It's time to get serious and do something to prevent the next tragedy. Now we can. Our bipartisan Stop Illegal Trafficking Firearms Act would empower law enforcement to investigate and prosecute illegal gun traffickers, straw purchasers, and their entire criminal networks. This bill is not everything that I wanted when I set out on this mission in 2009, but it is a good bipartisan compromise. And it's a compromise that I urge my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to support. Because if you do, We can stop the illegal flow of guns that are coming into our city neighborhoods and reduce gun violence and reduce senseless gun death. Law enforcement officials across the country need this legislation to protect our communities from illegal weapons. And if you're a responsible, law-abiding gun owner watching this, you should support this legislation too. And I can tell you, my friends who are Second Amendment supporters and our gun owners and our hunters, they support this common sense legislation. So I'm urging all of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to join us. Stand with families in our communities all across the country who are looking to us to take action, to prevent the next senseless tragedy, to prevent the next death, the next Niaja Pryor Yard. I urge you to stand with the brave men and women of our law enforcement at every level who are asking us to take these critical common sense measures needed so that they can do a better job for us and to keep our families safer. I yield the floor.